Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, Revenge of the Farmer. Apparently my grandfather was an absolute legend. This pretty revenge story takes place sometime in the mid-1980s. It has been told to me by my father, so exaggeration isn't exactly out of the question. A little background, my grandfather was father to 10 kids. He owned and operated a small-scale dairy farm as well as many hay fields throughout a small town in New England. He was quite savvy and purchased land that would be prime for development in the future, e.g. land along a busy thoroughfare. One of my uncles, who was about 25 at the time, approached my grandfather and proposed opening a small driving range on one of the existing hay fields. My grandfather thought it was a good idea, so he agreed and wanted to help his son start the business. For those unaware, a driving range is a place to practice golfing. The setup would be simple: keep the hayfields as they are, but keep the grass trimmed short, add a few flags, distance markers, netting along the border, a small gravel parking lot, space for about 15 tees, and a 20 feet by 20 feet shed. The field chosen was adjacent to the commercial hub of the town, which was just a small strip mall at the time, town-owned forests, and one residential neighbor. Plans were drawn up and the process was moving along nicely. The town was friendly to small business, however the land needed a zone change from agriculture, residential to open space recreation. In order to change the zoning from agriculture, residential to open space recreation, all abutting neighbors must agree to the change. The hayfield in question is about 9 acres, rectangular in shape, and surrounded by forest on 3 sides and a road on the 4th. In the end, all abutters agreed except the one residential neighbor. This neighbor vehemently disagreed. Even with a 30-feet forest buffer, guaranteed zero disturbance from the driving range, e.g. stray golf balls, and the simply fact the site would remain as an open field. Without their approval, the business could not move forward even with the approval of 99% of the abutters. My grandfather soon came up with a somewhat diabolical idea to change the mind of this particularly stubborn neighbor. Every Sunday after church, my grandfather would load up the manure spreader and take his tractor directly toward the hayfield in question. Typically only done once a year, my grandfather fertilized the crap out of that hayfield each and every Sunday. He would pile on the rank-smelling cow manure and was sure to fertilize when the wind was blowing just right. Over the next few months, my grandfather continued this process like clockwork. Long past the appropriate time to fertilize and well in the hot summer months. After months of tasting cow poo with every breath they took, the neighbors finally agreed to the zoning change. In the end, the driving range opened successfully, the neighbors were happy, and the grass was very, very green. 40 or so years later, the driving range is still operating successfully and the neighbors happily lived out their lives in the home. Next one is titled, Forcing Your Boss and Their Family into Bankruptcy. This goes back a good few years. I worked for this family-owned business that sold many imported typical gift items from Asia. All of their products were low quality and overpriced. I was in charge of everything pretty much except importing the garbage or getting the dividends. The business was owned by a family of immigrants who felt very entitled, always spoke between themselves in their language, and constantly bad-mouthed all employees and especially nasty towards minority employees, immigrants, Black, Latino, Jews, and Muslims. What they didn't know was that I studied their language many years before I started working there, and not only did I understand everything, I could speak their language better than they did. I could teach them their language. I decided not to tell them I know their language because I wanted to know what they say about me and the rest of the staff. Time goes by, and work was crap, no benefits at all, we were all mistreated. They always shorted staff on pay, always shorted staff on hours, like sending staff home right after arrival because there is not much to do today, to save on payroll when we were super busy. The ones who suffered more than others were the minorities. The business was shady, as you can expect, with lots of transactions in cash and off the books, free stuff to specific wholesale customers if they were from their clan, overcharging other wholesale customers who were black or other minorities, products listing fake certifications, copyrighted designs used and stolen, a shitty company. After a few months working there, they decided to save on payroll and fire my assistant. That assistant was my right hand to get things done, and when I already worked 60-hour weeks being the first and last in the building on a salary because of no overtime, it meant I would be stuck with at least 100 hours a week. The next day they fired one of the shipping clerks because if employees can take an hour break in the middle of the day for lunch, it means that each employee wastes an hour, and therefore, they can fire one of the 8 employees, not give lunchtime, and the work can be done. Everyone was beyond angry, and I decided it's time to take the corpse to the grave. The boss's family went for lunch in their nice Jaguar, and I called for a company meeting, 31 employees present, including myself. I asked them how many of them are about to quit even if they don't have another job. All 30 raised their hands. I told them I have an idea. Today is Tuesday, in 2 days, Thursday is Thanksgiving, and we all have off. Payroll is usually processed on Monday for direct deposit on Wednesday. I process payroll. I'm going to convince the bosses to process payroll early today in the afternoon for tomorrow deposit Wednesday. We all get paid. We make sure we did get paid on Wednesday. We have off on Thursday on Thanksgiving, paid holiday, and none of us show up to work ever again. The room lit up and erupted in laughter. Every one of us agreed to the plan. I promised that I would give everyone proper references and not worry about quitting. Bosses come back from lunch, told them we have a lot of expected sales on Thanksgiving and I highly suggest to make the employees happy, and pay them by tomorrow before Thanksgiving. They will be super motivated on Friday to take care of all the orders. For good measure, I told them throwing in an extra Thanksgiving bonus will be great. The boss boy tells his wife in their language, let's give the smelly craps an extra $100, and they will work their butts off like donkeys forever. They offered me a $3,000 bonus, which was shocking, but I said thank you, but I'll give an extra $100 to everyone and not take anything. The wife boss tells her husband, he is a donkey, degrading in their language. I held myself not to explode in laughter. I go ahead and process payroll. I quietly told everyone they're getting a bonus of $100 from the bosses and $100 from my $3,000 bonus split to everyone, and told them they were called smelly craps who will be the boss's slaves. We had a good laugh at it. I made sure none of the employees' phone numbers are saved on the HR system. They were messy enough that no information was on file besides a name, address, and SSN. Wednesday, like clockwork, we all got paid. We exchanged phone numbers and emails. That was the age of MySpace. Thanksgiving morning, I went to their home and placed my office keys in the mailbox outside their nice mansion. Friday comes, and no one shows up to work. No one. My phone blows up, and I don't answer. My voicemail fills up, and I don't empty it. Saturday, Sunday, the same story. I'm in touch with my former colleagues and am told the bosses somehow got some of their numbers, but they're all ignoring them as well. Weeks go by, all of us found new jobs, some got hired together in new places and all with better pay, and most of them for the first-time jobs that had benefits. About 8 months later, I found out from an IT person that happened to know that family what happened after we all quit. First, the bosses had no clue how to run the business and had no idea how to process orders, ship orders, receive inventory, accounting, nothing. The entire family, including 12-year-olds, large family, were put to work, but no one could handle it. 95% of the orders they had since Thanksgiving were not shipped. The orders shipped were most of them wrong items and packed incorrectly, and most of them were charged back or refunded. They got stuck with 7 digits worth of inventory they already prepaid to the Asian suppliers. You always prepay. They had bank loans they personally guaranteed and couldn't pay and declared business and personal bankruptcy. 6 months after we all quit, that company was erased off the face of the earth, and the entire family was forced to leave back to their country without a dime in their pockets. Remember, employees make your business successful, don't ever duck with them. Next one is titled, Unintentional Revenge. 2008, and I owned a 2000 Chevy farm truck. 35 in tires and every body panel bent. 6-inch lift and looked horrible. I was heading to work on a 2-lane, semi-busy road. Suddenly a brand new Chevrolet Camaro was on my bumper. I looked at my speed and 50 miles per hour seemed slow for a 55 miles per hour zone. So I thought fair enough, and sped up to 55 miles per hour. Still so close I can't see his roof, but whatever. We hit the dotted line and I'm figuring he is going to pass. Nope. So a mile or two later I decide to speed up again. 60 miles per hour, still on my butt. Okay, let's do 65 miles per hour. Still on me. Now I really don't like people riding me, but I'm not the type to slam brakes. I do this little maneuver where I drift towards the ditch and the dirt rocks kicked up usually get drivers to back off. This is the part where it gets wild. At 65 miles per hour and drifting into the ditch, I don't realize that a field approach had recently added a 6 inches high gravel field approach for a local farm. When I looked up it was too late. Bam! Gravel, dust and almost explosion occurred. I regained control of my truck and in my rear view mirror a cloud of dust. Though the dust I see that black Camaro swerving back and forth. But its windshield looks like a spider web of glass and steam. He pulls off to a local parking lot as I hit the next stoplight. I see him get out screaming at the car, or me. It was not my intention, but damn, don't follow too close. Next one is titled, Fur Coats Don't Belong on the Floor. This was a few years back, but I enjoy telling this story. I worked as a waitress at a restaurant in my hometown that was trashy. The only thing the place was really known for was being open very late, and the entire place needed a very deep cleaning. On a very slow Thursday night 3 people came in. 2 50-ish men in nice business suits and a lady in her late 40s wearing a gigantic white fur coat. I seat them in a large corner booth and go off to get them water. When I head back over and ask if they would like anything besides water, the 2 men say coffee and the lady gives me a dirty look, but says nothing. Okay, whatever, I go and grab the 2 coffees. When I return, the lady gets all snappy and says, "And where is my coffee?" I respond, "You didn't say anything when I asked what you wanted, but sure I can go grab you one." I receive an eye roll and a shake of the head in response. They are ready to order when I come back. The guys order sandwiches and the lady orders crepes that come in bright red strawberry sauce. I deliver their food and come back with coffee to refill. The guys indicate they'd like more, but when I ask the lady she doesn't acknowledge me and I have no way of reaching her mug. She's seated in the far corner of the booth. Wait a few seconds, still being ignored, so I walk away and literally the minute I turn around she loudly says, "Excuse me, you didn't refill my cup. You can't just fill the cups of the people you want to sleep with and ignore me because I'm a woman." I respond with, "I can't reach your cup and you didn't respond when I asked, sorry," to which I get a rude shove of the cup towards me and another eye roll and shake of the head. They stayed for another hour or so after eating, just chatting it up. I return several times to refill the coffee and each time the lady ignores me and won't move her cup. One of the guys who has a pretty embarrassed look on his face every time she is rude and moves it for me, but I receive a glare or an eye roll from the lady each and every time I check up on them. When they are finally ready to pay, the embarrassed guy pulls out his card. I ring it up and bring it over for him to sign. He is starting to fill out the tip and the lady near shouts, "Don't you dare leave this witch a tip. This is the worst service I have ever received in my life. She spent the whole time flirting with you two and ignoring me." She rips the receipt from him, puts a huge no in the tip line and throws it at me. I'm pretty annoyed at this point, and to be honest I have a pretty shitty temper, so I just grab the slip and leave thinking they will leave shortly. On my walk back to the cash register I notice the lady just sort of tossed her fur coat on the floor by the booth, which, I mean I don't have a picture of this floor, but trust me, no one in the right mind would set anything on it. Well, they don't leave shortly, they continued to sit there chatting and the lady starts banging on the table to get my attention. I go over and she starts shoving all the plates at me and said, "You need to get these dirty plates off this table, you are a horrible waitress. You need to spend more time doing your job and less time flirting with people's husbands," and gives me this god-awful smile. So, I start grabbing the plates and notice the lady's plate has about 1/4 inch of that bright red sauce still on the plate. So as I am carefully stacking these plates over on my left hand I just let the plate with the red sauce sort of slant to the side so it drains all over her white fur coat and then just kick the coat over so the stain isn't visible. I then advise them that I have to start closing up as it's past 11. They all get up, embarrassed guy grabs the coat off the floor and I lock up behind them. The lady called back the next morning to speak to a manager, I guess, but sadly for her he literally gave zero shits about anything and just responded with, "What kind of moron throws a fur coat on the floor of a restaurant?" Next one is titled, "I experienced something awesome very early on in my customer service career, and I'm so sad, because I'm pretty sure that I have a better chance of winning the lottery than of having anything like this happening again. It honestly felt like something out of a movie. Shortly after graduating from high school, I got a job working as a waitress at a local restaurant. It was a pretty popular place, but really boomed during the holiday season. A few days before Christmas, a woman came in wanting to pay for and pick up a phone order. Now, to be clear, there were 7 pages of takeout orders. Each page had about 10 to 13 orders. I ask for the name on the order, and she gives me 3, saying that she isn't sure who placed the order and she's just in charge of picking it up. I look through each page, and find a few matches. None are the correct order, though. As I reach the last page, I tell her that we don't have any more orders with those names and ask if there is another that it might be under. At this point she is visibly annoyed, and gives me another 2 that it might be under. I scroll back to the first page and start searching again. I find another match, but again, it is the wrong order. Now, she is actually angry. The conversation goes something like this. Me, "I'm so sorry. We don't have any more matches for those names." Her, "Well, it's got to be one of them. I don't know why this is so hard for you." Me, "Maybe it would be easier to search for the order itself." "What exactly are you picking up?" Her, "How am I supposed to know that? I didn't place the order. It's your job to check me out and just get it to me. Why is this so hard for you?" Me, "Well, unless there is another name to search for, I'm not sure what else I can do for you. There were about 75 orders placed for this weekend, and I don't have any other way to know which is yours." Her, "Are you ducking kidding me? It shouldn't be this complicated. Are you stupid or something? You are working a register. It cannot be that hard." Me, "Okay. How about I read the names of each order, and you let me know when something sounds familiar? We can go through each order, that way." Her, "Ducking fine. If that's what you have to do your job, then just waste my goddamn time, I guess." Then she muttered something under her breath, that I didn't quite catch. She definitely used the R word though. I get about halfway through the first page. Me, "Company X?" Her, "Yes. That's it." I smile wide. A genuine and true smile, ear to ear. Me, "Oh, do you work at Company X?" Her, "Not that it's any of your business, but yes." Now hurry up. This has taken way longer than it should have. Is it even ready yet? Me, "Do you know the owner? Mr. X?" Her, "Yes. He is the one who organized the party." "Why?" Me, "That's my dad," smiling even wider than I thought possible. "I'll have to tell him about this. What a small world." Her, the color visibly draining from her face, "Youre?" Me, "Yup. My dad. Who would have known? I'm actually going on my 30 when I'm done here. I'll have to give him a call. I'm sure he'll love to hear all about this." Before she had a chance to respond, I turned around to grab her food. I spent the rest of that transaction just positively glowing, basking in her silent panic, before saying, "Goodbye. Have a wonderful day. I'll be sure to tell my dad that you said hi." It was beautiful. I told my dad about it, and he was absolutely livid, mostly about the fact that she would dare to speak to someone in that way, while actively representing the company. He didn't fire her, but she was given a severe warning and was put onto probation. She didn't last long, though. Less than 2 weeks later, she lost the company a pretty big client by responding very rudely via email. Honestly, I may be biased, but I think that the company is better off without her. Last one is titled, "I'm leaving in an hour whether you're here or not." So, this was back in late May of 1999, 19-year-old me was working at a 24-hour truck stop right off of the interstate highway in a tiny town of about 1,200 people. Our system was archaic, analog diesel pumps. Every pump, even gas, had to be manually authorized, even pay at pump, and being a 24-hour station, no one but the owner and manager had keys to the door. My parents had recently divorced and my dad had moved 11 hours away to West Texas to be closer to his brothers and sisters. Dad was supposed to have my sisters for the summer and him and Mum had agreed to meet halfway. I figured it would be nice to see him for a few days, so I decided to just take my sisters to Dad's house, no driving for him or Mum, and I'd get to visit for a couple of days. I told my manager what was up and that I was leaving directly after my 7 to 3 shift Friday and would need off until Wednesday, when I could report for my normal 7 to 3 shift, and she approved my leave. Friday around 2:30 the manager called to let me know that the 3 to 11 person had called in and no one could cover in such short notice, so I would have to work a double. I reminded her of my 11-hour drive and that I wouldn't be able to work the shift, and reminded her that it was her responsibility to cover in instances like this and that I would be leaving at 3. I was informed that she was doing her job by having me fill in, and she then hung up on me. Well, 3 rolls around and no one is there but me, so I called the manager back and told her that I had to leave to take my sisters to Texas, and that I'd give her an hour to get there. She lived about half an hour away, and said when 4 hit I was leaving regardless of store coverage. She told me that if I left that I should consider myself fired, and then she hung up on me again. Okay, I hate this job anyway. 4 p.m. rolls around and no one has showed up to cover the shift, so I left. Now we have a fully stocked gas station with a deli, unlocked, and no employees, with a full till. I couldn't count down my draw because I didn't have access to the program, and duck this place. From what I was told, several people came in, started their pumps and actually paid for their gas by sliding money in the slots on the till drawer. Others didn't pay at all, including a couple of semis because they needed to pay with Qualcomm. Several people took food from the deli freezer, as well as other merchandise and cash stolen, to the grand total of somewhere around $5,000 USD. Someone who knew the manager personally called her to let her know that the store was unmanned. Manager tried calling me at home, but Mum told her I was on my way to Texas and didn't have a cell. The manager had taken an impromptu trip to Branson which had to be cut short, and she arrived about 3 a.m. to a ransacked store, empty till, and half-full commercial stand-up freezer with a bunch of wasted food because someone had left the door open. The owner called my house to talk to me, and after finding out where I was, requested to talk to me as soon as I got back. I never called him back. Edit, because something sounded like it could be easily confusing. $5,000 in cash wasn't stolen, $5,000 in total, cash, merchandise, and fuel. Thanks for listening.